I'm going to read you a very short article and then I'll be on the field with the dog vlogging. Ex-cop who exposed Jimmy Savile working to bring down another very significant sex offender. Mark Williams Thomas, and it'll have impacted his life, this, him and other people who sort of dedicate themselves to bringing down these people. Mark Williams Thomas revealed Savile to be a prolific abuser in the 2012 documentary and now says he's trying to bring down another untouchable child sex offender. The former police officer who worked to expose Jimmy Savile a decade ago is now working to bring down another very significant and untouchable sex offender. Mark Williams Thomas revealed that the shamed television host and radio personality was a horrific paedophile in his award-winning documentary The Other Side of Jimmy Savile. The documentary shook the entertainment industry, no shit, with the 5 women who spoke of suffering sexual abuse at the late DJ's hands, followed by many more following its broadcast. The revelations prompted the Met Police to launch Operation U-Tree, I should have worn my glasses, which led to the arrest of 19 people and eventual imprisonment for 7 of them. Difficult to prove. The retired detective and child protection expert Williams Thomas has claimed that there's a similar bombshell about another high-profile person. Oh my God, we need to get one of these people up there. Public need to get behind the victims and support the people who are trying to put these people away. He said there are still people out there who are untouchable. There is one very significant person who I've done everything to try and get prosecuted because he is clearly a child sex offender. To date, the CPS won't prosecute, Crown Prosecution Service. The police and I have tried really hard to get there. He will die in due course and then the floodgates will open in the same way they did with Savile. That's not right because justice takes many different forms. The truth is no broadcaster would have done a programme about Savile when he was alive. We live in a society where there are some people you can't take on, and that's really sad. Out with Stephen. How do, beautiful boy? Come on, kid. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to talk about a creature that was very close to Jimmy Savile. Then, I'm going to talk about victims. And then I'm going to talk about the people who try and expose these creatures, these despicable beasts that live amongst us. Jimmy Savile's chauffeur, flatmate, another former DJ, Ray Terrett. Ray Terrett landed in Strangeways, where I worked, on the VP wing. Vulnerable prisoners. What a creature that was. These people believe they're untouchable. In prison, this guy was popular, cocksure, threatening staff, but he was lawyered up to fuck. He was always threatening you. I know my rights, my solicitor this, complaints galore. What's a fucking creature. And stood on G-Wing. I remember seeing him, crowds around him all the time. Yeah, paedophile, sex offender heaven. He was horrible, no remorse, he was a creature. Yeah, even though he was in prison, you could tell he thought he was fucking bulletproof, horrible. Me, I didn't have a lot of dealings with him. The ones I did were enough to turn my stomach. Would I have liked to unlock him on K-Wing? K-Wing was a remand wing in Strangeways where I worked, 200 prisoners. Would I, see, I'm getting a bit wound up. Would I have liked to have unlocked him on evening association? That's when everyone's out. Yeah, unlocked him, having told everyone on the wing who he was and what he'd done. Yeah, I would. If the prisoners had got hold of him, is there anything I could have done? No. 6 staff on K-Wing at night, evening duty, 200 prisoners, like a zoo. They'd have ripped him limb from limb. Would I ever do anything like that? You know, grass someone up on normal location, because you get prisoners who are sex offenders on normal location. Dangerous game, that. In the private sector, I saw one lad who was a good lad, yeah. He got the better of an officer in a verbal confrontation. That officer grassed him up to prisoners, saying he was a sex offender. He ended up in a coma. He got released from custody in a coma, yeah. I know who that officer was, a lot of people did. You couldn't prove it. Dangerous game. He was horrible. I've seen other, I don't want to use the word celebrity, but other scumbags, high profile, yeah, strutting about on the VP unit. See, they're safe from the rest of the prison population. A lot of you guys out there say, you know, it should be in general pop. These people, they get absolutely fucking destroyed. Now let's talk about victims. Firstly, I saw a very brave lady for 2 days in court, on a stand, being questioned and giving evidence about another absolute scumbag. If I can ever remember his name, I will vlog it and find articles, because how the police caught him was genius. Just going to show you what it's like up here. It's beautiful. Anyway, he's another one. I didn't have many dealings with him. He got made Cat A whilst at Peterborough prison because he was a serial rapist, kidnapper, and there was firearms involved. We fetched him from Peterborough to Strangeways. He was never on the VP unit at Strangeways. There was a Cat A VP unit, not all Category A high-risk prisoners, but it's where they could be held. He was never on there. He was always in the seg, that lad. Thought he was better than everyone else. Another one, lawyered up, always threatening people, always complaining, you know, demanding healthcare immediately as though he was special. No remorse. He was horrible. One of them people who, yeah, I could have quite definitely punched in the face and kept on punching him. And before, you know, the odd person out there says anything, nah. Yeah, I could have quite definitely punched him in the face and never stopped. Anyway, I was doing overtime, a couple of escorts, court escorts, that's where you take prisoners out, escorting this thing, and the last. So what he'd done, or the victims that were found, were 6 victims, 3 couples, lad, lass, lad, lass, lad, lass. His MO was he would kidnap them at gunpoint, he would drop the lads off somewhere in the wilderness, and then he'd take the lasses and, you know, everything you don't want to imagine, you know, rape and the like, subject them to a horrendous sexual ordeal. So out of the 6 victims, or survivors, whatever you want to call them, this lass was the only one who was taken to the stand. Her partner, boyfriend was there, he couldn't do it. She was on the stand 2 days. She looked at this creature, sat next to me. I bowled him all the way through her evidence. Yeah, she spoke out very clearly. There was obviously, there was tears in that court, you know, it brought me to tears. When these people are questioned, you know, it's horrendous. The questioning is horrendous. They're shown no mercy. There's no sympathy, empathy or anything like that when these people are questioned. But she stood her ground. She gave evidence, and her evidence put him away. A very, very brave lass, and it's a tough gig. I have met people who have been to court, didn't want to go to court in order to put people away. You know, witnesses who the prosecution want, very, very difficult decision. You know, your name is up in lights, you're going to be in press, even if it's local press. The whole process itself, building up to it, you know, court dates getting cancelled, the stress on the family, not good. You know, there's no protection, your name are up in lights. So this so-called high-profile sex offender, you know, that the police are trying to take down, Nobody wants to come forward and put themselves out there, and I can completely understand that. It's an horrendous situation. For me, and the other thing is, you know, the Crown Prosecution Service, there's people out there at a high level, celebrities, politicians and that, are facilitators that are involved. There will be rings of paedophile rings and the like. You know, you only have to look at Jimmy Savile, the people around him. You know, there weren't people openly coming forward and condemning him left, right and centre, were they? People just went quiet on the subject. So in the Crown Prosecution Service, there will be judges and people in a high position who will protect people, yeah? If they ever get somebody, I don't know who it is, if they ever get this guy to court, he'll be lawyered up, he'll have the best fucking barristers and solicitors, no amount of money, no doubt, to fund that from other sources. But the public, if it ever does happen, need to get behind these people. These people, and I know this happens at all levels, working class, middle class, but it needs somebody up there and they need to string them out. The public need to get behind the people, the people, the survivors, the victims, the people who are trying to bring them down, and they need to know that they're not safe. Because for me, I think these people, a lot of them think they're safe and secure because there's that many people out there who they are connected to, and, you know, it's just disgusting, really. And lastly, the people who try and bring them down. There's a couple of people I follow on social media, you know, ex-police and the like, who, even though they've retired, they've probably got poor mental health, you know, trying to bring people to justice, bang to rights, the struggle that is that bringing people to justice. It will affect their lives, it will affect their families, you know, probably ruin marriages. It's a tough gig. So we need to get behind those people as well. And like I say, it's a subject nobody wants to talk about, yeah? Nobody wants to talk about. I'm going to leave it there, guys. I have got a couple of interviews coming up, like I promised. Yeah. Stephen, parting shot as always. Welcome all new subscribers, everyone who supports me on Patreon, everyone who's bought me a brew, guests past, present and future. Al City.